Welcome to Cordkillers Reckoning. The world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we're just trying to find out how to watch what we want, where we want, whenever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Where's the good stuff, Brian?
Deep in the black void that used to represent the heart of Las Vegas. I am here early for DEF CON, soaking in the magic-y vibes of Magic Live. They have a lot of very talented magicians performing at Magic Live. I've decided to get most of my value from parking my butt at the Orleans Mardi Gras bar and just waiting for people to say, "Excuse me, are you Brian Brushwood?" At which point I immediately say, "Yes, what are you working on? How can I help?"
That's the life. Like, that's the dream right there.
It really is. I realized that I need to do it now while still people can recognize me.
Yes. While you can be recognized and you're healthy enough to drink at the Orleans bar, you need the crossover is now. This is the time.
Well, and I've realized that people very quickly, it becomes like a Dave Ramsey-esque call-in show for magicians because they're all on the independent creator path, the same one that we did the class on. And so I've realized that sitting there holding a remarkable tablet and taking notes while they talk, people are just like, yeah, I make this much per gig. My reach is this. I'm trying to double my shows. And I'm like, go on. Yes. Have you considered? It's great. I love it.
And then you turn the remarkable tablet around. It's a sketch of them.
It's boobs.
It's just eights. All right, let's move on to what we're here for, telling you how to watch YouTube better in the supply run.
Supply run.
Android authorities Mashal Rahman, aka Android Faithful's Mashal Rahman, reported first that the jump ahead perk for premium subscribers of YouTube that uses some machine learning to determine the most interesting part of a video is now available on your TV version of YouTube. It's been available on your mobile version for a while, but it showed up for Mashal on the Nvidia Shield. I can confirm that it started working on the Apple TV version of YouTube, and it indicates it will come to pretty much all the TV platforms that YouTube supports. Jump Ahead gives you an easy way to automatically get to the best bit of a video, as it determines the best bit is, by analyzing the most watched segments that users typically skip. And then you double click on the right arrow or the right side of the controller or whatever your remote is. You double click the right thing, and instead of just fast forwarding, it'll jump. And it actually, with me, it said like, you are skipping to the most watched part of this video, and showed a little graph of all the watching. Do you advocate this, Brian?
I tried not to pass judgments one way or another. However, I accept things as they are, and clearly there is a need for this on the consumer side. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. We already see it in the form of the desktop interface, which is most of how I interact with YouTube. You got that little kind of viewer interest area, and you can tell the lull when people are saying the words like and subscribe.
I mean, it's funny they say they use machine learning, because you could just look at it and go, well, that seems like the most interesting part right there. But yeah, well, sure.
My guess is that language was selected partly because that will evolve over time, and they may get smart. Like there might, for example, there have been episodes of Monologue, especially the shorts, that I've intentionally glitched with hidden messages in there. And if you go back, there is a treat, a reward of the hidden message that leads you to special URLs. There's kind of a whole steganography game that I'm playing. It may be that even though those are the most popular parts of the video that people go back to scrub for, the machine learning aspect could decide that that's not relevant to the content. So maybe there is a little bit of AI that's going to be in there. I don't know. But for right now, the big question in this implementation is the ability to skip the BS. Something that has been available to the desktop folks is now easily, in a well-designed way, available to the big screen folks just by, what is it, double tapping? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Double tap the fast forward or the right arrow kind of varies by your form factor. On the Apple TV, you hit the right. There's a little circle thing you hit right twice. On the Nvidia Shield, you just tap the right arrow twice.
So what that means for creators is I'm going to say something that sounds very technical, but then will become something obvious. Craft your narrative in such a way that even the procedural elements, which need to be recognized and watched because they're important, have a hook, a sneaky way to grab attention. In other words, be interesting. Really, all I just said was, how about you have no boring parts? How about even if you have to get through procedure or process, you do it in such a way that if nobody wants to skip it, congrats, you have nothing to skip.
But isn't that like saying, let's let everyone win? Like in every video, there's going to be the most interesting part, no matter how interesting the rest of the video is, right? There's going to be the most interesting part. So you're never going to be able to craft a video that doesn't have a point where you would skip to get to the best part.
Well, subjectively, yes. Every single video has to have a single most watched and least watched parts. But something interesting happens when you look up a transactional video, a how-to video, where you don't really care who the person is, you don't care what their story is, just get to the point of what's the thing, then you will see very big spikes in the jump ahead stuff. However, there are people who are playing that transactional game, but they're playing a long game by having a narrative arc or having a reputation for embedding jokes. For example, on vMix, for whatever reason, vMix's terrible design makes it just words that say close. So you're mentally, in the middle of switching, you have to read the word close and think to click it if you want to close one of the inputs instead of a natural Xbox or something like that. So everybody Googles how to close an input in vMix. This guy's got a video of it. And of course, the whole video could be 3 seconds long. Click close to close the video. That's it. But instead, this guy does this whole nested routine where he's like, okay, we've got this objectively interesting video of world peas, and he's making jokes about peas. And he says, I don't know why you would ever want to cose this peas video. And then he eventually gets to the point. But
that sounds horrible. Why would I want that?
Because the lesson.
I just want the close information. Like you're tricking me. This is like the recipe websites that tell me everyone's life story and grandma's recipe instead of just giving me the recipe. I just want the recipe. Isn't that why this exists? So I can skip past the stupid world peas jokes?
Yeah, you know what? You make a very compelling argument, Tom. There is limits to this because on the one hand, I could make a case that the world peas joke then allows the lesson to stick.
Which, by the way, is one of my favorite puns, world peas.
Yeah. But, man, there is limits to it. Like, not everything needs to be the beginning of a sales funnel. Like, that eventually lands with an independent creator's Valhalla.
I think it is challenging, not impossible, but it's challenging for creators to make use of this feature. It's the kind of feature that if larger platforms and networks had more influence over YouTube, they'd probably be fighting against. Like, please don't do this. But honestly, this is a testament to the fact that YouTube is focused on the broad range of creators and not, big gatekeepers, that they're like, we're going to make a very consumer friendly feature here. You get to skip to the interesting part. And then creators are just going to have to figure out how to do what Brian said, try to make each video as relevant and interesting as possible if they want to keep those views up.
Well, so we've talked before, and you heard me talk about in the class how the importance of casting a shadow, a narrative shadow that implies that there's more to the story if you want. So it used to be that, let's say, for transactional reasons, you wanted to know how to close a window in vMix. And, instead of if your jokes become the skip over part, then all that means is you have to look for another place to cast your narrative depth shadow, whether it's something interesting in the background that happens, figure out what organically people are watching, which parts they're watching, and realizing that's the only place you get to tell whatever your story is. It's a bit like, technically, a beggar on a street corner holding a sign that says, I am blind, is identical to a beggar on a street corner with a sign that says, it is spring and I am blind. But one of them will make more money and cause other people passing by to think more about them.
I wonder if the trick is be okay with them skipping to the most interesting part. And again, it's not even just the most viewed, because apparently they're using some algorithms to determine stuff that's interesting, not just most viewed. They skip to that, figure out what that part is, and then figure out how to keep them. Because the skipping is the first action. Once they're there, they assume they're at the interesting part. And if you can make the interesting part last the longest and keep them from tuning away, then you get them to watch longer.
Well, and what happens on a long enough timeline is you cross over from the transactional to the relational. The first time you have a transaction, you just want the chicken sandwich, but the 75th time you want to have a chat with Susie, how's so-and-so doing, that kind of thing. And what that looks like in terms of that viewer retention graph is, yes, there's still a peak and a valley, but the difference, rather than being 90% of users drop, the difference might be 20%, where it's like, I am clicking play with the intention of spending an hour and change with Brian and Tom. I just like these guys. To be honest, I kind of wish that they would take longer to do everything, because I just like it. And there is a place for that. And that's what's interesting, is that YouTube is trying to thread the needle of being both the transactional solution of how-to stuff and the relational turn it on, hang out with these human entities, which is only going to be more important as the robots are able to auto spit out more and more of the transactional stuff.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if the right thing to do with the close tutorial for vMix is start with the close tutorial for vMix and then do something really interesting. Like, since you're here, let me tell you about world peas, versus the other way. Which is like trying to keep you around waiting for the thing, because you can already skip to the thing. So give it to them right up front.
You know what? I wish that I had thought to pull this example up. Maybe we could do this in the after talk segment for patrons only. We could actually look at the retention graph, because I remember being so delighted and surprised at the amount of effort that was clearly put in to what is very simply an SEO hack. Like, somebody recognized that a lot of people search for this. Let me show up and give the answer, but let me put on a funny suit and sing the answer in a certain way. I don't know. We'll look at that. We'll cross-examine that piece of evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. Meanwhile, I'd like to call a new witness, the patron.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Your Honor. It's me, the patron. Do you have any questions for me? This is how court proceedings work. Is witnesses announce themselves to the judge?
I'm a legaler, and this is how the court works.
Yes. Okay. I've sworn on 10,000 Bibles. What's your question?
My question is, why should I become a patron of Cordkillers and get after talk and other exclusives, Your Honor?
Oh, well, first of all, you'd be keeping Tom loud, live, and independent for going on 15 plus years of covering the cord cutting revolution. They called the revolution before it even started. They covered it while the mass slaughter of cable happened. And now there they sit. Kings, gods of the wasteland. The people who killed cable are now hungry for content, and so they're finding out how to watch what you want, when you want, on whatever device you please. I think that's worth supporting with just $1 an episode. That's why I did it, Your Honor, in the computer room with my credit card at patreon.com/cordkillers.
Do you think it's too late for me to support them, Your Honor?
Oh, no. Look, just because I'm the honor, you honor me, Judge.
You're all honorable men. We're all honorable men.
I would say that cutting the cord was not the end of the journey. It was the beginning of the journey. The best days of Cordkillers are beginning right now, today, and you can be part of it. If you get on the inside at patreon.com/Cordkillers, you get early access to the full experience. You get exclusive access to the After Talk segment, and more importantly, you'll get so many more. If we see a spike in patronage, this will be the new format for Patreon ads. Your Honor.
Motion carried.
I love the fact that audio listeners are definitely going to know that that was a real gavel.
And I order you to move on to the search party. His name is Gavel McLeod, by the way. James Gunn said he was working on a new script for a film where Superman would have a major role. And when someone said, so a sequel to Superman, he said, Superman has a major role. It is not Superman 2.
Okay. That tracks. I mean,
he even said, Gunn even said, I'm working on the sequel. And someone was like, sequel? So Superman 2? He's like, no, Superman has a major role.
Oh, interesting. So he did call it a sequel, but didn't call it Superman 2.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's continuing the story, quote unquote, but it may not be Superman's story at that point, which would be an interesting way of doing it. Saying like, let's not just have Superman 2, let's have another movie where we introduce Batman, we introduce Wonder Woman or somebody else, and Superman's in it.
Let's talk about this. Are you over the assembly of another version of the Avengers? Because I think I'm over it. I am over the ingredients. I'm tired of being handed ingredients and watching them all combine to reveal that they all make a sandwich.
And I would like to think, and maybe I'll just decide to think because it entertains me, that what James Gunn is going to do is not just assemble the Justice League, that he's going to tell a story where these heroes come in and out, right? And you can have the next movie involve another hero and Superman, and you'll get to know this new hero. And then the next movie could just be that hero and Wonder Woman, or, and it could always be a movie in the universe, but it's not about the hero. And we don't have to all build up to the Justice League movie. Sadly, though, he seemed to be definitely laying the foundation for the Justice League in the Superman movie.
Yeah, he really did. And I'll tell you what, look, I understand that putting ingredients together is how you get a sandwich. It's also how you get vomit.
Let me think on that.
I've just come on. That's a pretty good turn of phrase.
Yeah, no, it tracks. If you have the wrong ingredients together, they'll just come back out as vomit. Yeah,
too many ingredients,
or too many ingredients. Yeah, too many ingredients consumed too fast, and then you go swimming. Let's just push the metaphor off the cliff. But yeah, I like the fact that he's like, not a direct sequel. Superman will be in it. Don't worry. I know you all really like Superman, but this isn't just like Superman 2, the more Superman movie. And I think that's good. And hopefully he's not just building up to the Justice League, but maybe Justice League just develops as he's telling a story. I think that would be more interesting.
I'll tell you what I really like is a flavor that we haven't seen too much before. So, you know how like in music, you got your original ingredient, a song. I'm using air quotes, audio people. There's a song. And then you have mega mashups, like 85 songs. Let's take all of Grease and put a techno beat underneath it, right? But I think there's a different flavor with the purity of a simple mashup. Only two things, the music of one, the lyrics of the other, and then they switch midway through, and that's it. That is, I suspect, an underserved version of the multi-element superhero franchise. Because even like Batman v Superman had 75 other hero characters in it. Like, just give me two. Even like what made Spider-Man work is it was just Spider-Man and a little bit of Iron Man.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then, yeah, I think that's a flavor that I could go for more of.
And I like it being a chain, where we're not going to get all the superheroes in every movie, but maybe 2, maybe 3 every once in a while, just to spice it up, right? But like, just tell me good stories and use whatever heroes make that story. Tom Holland has finally revealed his new Spidey suit for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Spider-Man Brand New Day coming to theaters July 31st next year, 2026. Those who follow the Spider-Verse closely know that this is closer to the comic book. It's got the bigger spider on the front. People seem very excited by seeing the new spider suit.
It does look very classic.
Yeah.
And
very Silver Age, which Silver Age is in. That Superman showed you that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we're ready for a wave of unironic originals. You know, again, it's hard to believe it, but Iron Man was 20 years ago, and everything goes in 20-year cycles. Yeah. Iron Man was just unironically Silver Age Iron Man, with the minor substitution of changing which war Tony Stark was in. But they had the giant refrigerator version of Iron Man. This trailer with Tom Holland, I guess this was meant to read as him walking onto a soundstage and talking to us out of character.
It's just a costume reveal. The way they do book cover reveals in the book world, but for costumes.
Yeah, we'll talk a bit about this. It reminded me a little bit of the vibes I got from watching an old trailer that we'll talk about in a moment, where trailers weren't always meant to be miniature versions of the movies. They were originally meant to be a direct conversation with the theater owners about, hey, this movie will put butts in seats and you will sell a lot of popcorn. Consider it for your next lineup or whatever. Yeah. This had kind of that vibe.
Yeah. This was a to the faithful. Let's convince you to come watch Spider-Man. Continue to love Spider-Man. Here's the Spider-Man. After its first 7 weeks, K-pop Demon Hunters is now in 4th place on Netflix's all-time English language films chart, outranked only by Red Notice, Carry On, and Don't Look Up. And K-pop Demon Hunters has 7 more weeks to go before they stop counting. They always count these all-time numbers for the first 90 days after release.
Okay. Are you officially over it yet? Because as an OG real head aficionado, at some point, it's got to get too popular and drive you batty.
I'm not over it.
Are you ready to go full Squid Games on this?
I'm still very stunned. I'm watching it like, wow, I would never have guessed kind of situation. Like, it's the #1 song on Billboard's global chart. It's #1 on Apple Music's global chart. It's like the #4 ever on Netflix, right behind Don't Look Up, and will probably pass Don't Look. Like, I have no explanation for this, Brian. It's a confluence of multiple subgenres, and then continuing under its own momentum. Kids of all ages love it.
Yeah, except my kid. See last week's Great
Oh my
Night.
Gosh.
Josie had thoughts.
My niece can't stand it.
Really?
She's like, too scary, don't like it. And even if the music comes on, she's like, can you stop this? I don't want to listen to it. Just does not want it in her life.
Yeah, I think Josie's crit was that it was too undeveloped. It was too short.
Yes.
She wanted room for it to breathe.
That would have been my thought, is like, well, the general audience won't like this because it's kind of predictable, and it goes from point to point really fast. But apparently that's what people wanted, because it is huge. To the point that Apple TV Plus just released their trailer for K-Popped, a show co-hosted by Megan Thee Stallion and Psy of Gangnam Style fame. It's a music competition show. We talked about it on Cordkillers previously. Western artists collaborate with K-pop groups to reimagine the Western artists' big hits, and then an audience in listening in a studio in Seoul will vote on the winner of each episode. So if you want to know the level of the K-pop groups that are in this, here are the Western artists: Patti LaBelle, the Spice Girls Mel B and Emma Bunton, Vanilla Ice, Taylor Dane, Kesha, J Balvin, Kylie Minogue, TLC, Boy George, Jess Glynn, Ava Max, and Boys to Men.
Seems like K-pop is really having a moment, which brings up the interesting question, Tom. You have been following it for a long time. Are you over it? Is it played
You
out?
can't just ask the same question again.
Oh, I can.
I mean, you
It
can.
only gets more meta.
Well, then, since you invited me to respond, I love the Kepler's in it. Big fan of Huning Bahia. 80s, I feel like is too big for this. Stacy, Kiss of Life, they are right on board for this. Itzy, I have I have feelings about them, but I'm glad they got included. Billy, interesting choice, and Black Swan. How did they get on board with this? It is a very like mid to upper mid tier of K-pop artists.
Yeah. So in all seriousness, like, are you going to watch this? Is this not for you? Because
I'm definitely going to watch the first episode to see what it's like. And I'm very curious how they bridge the gap. It's Lionel Richie produced, by the way. So this is trying to be American Idol, but for K-pop, but get people who, you know, can we get some of that K-pop Demon Hunters magic and bring in people who don't normally listen to this music because we've got Kesha and Boys to Men, et cetera, et cetera. That is a hard needle to thread. And I'm curious how they do it.
But not impossible. I remember before America's Got Talent came out, when they approached all the variety entertainers and they all apologized for the working title and swore they would come up with a better name before going to air. And I remember thinking, so American Idol, but for seasoned pros to get treated like garbage? I don't think it's going to work. And indeed, it did work. And continued to just chew through variety entertainers. And in this case, I guess post-peak American pop stars could end up finding a very friendly environment, a place where they go from, again, let's make it about the transactional versus relational, people who had bona fide hits at one point, but maybe they're entering their next act as an interesting person in a different environment.
Or they need a little boost. Kesha, had a big contract dispute for a long time and is like trying to get back on the scene. Kylie Minogue is like a huge heritage, worldwide global star. That's the one that stuck out to me as like, oh, I'm interested in how they got her. Everybody else fits the definition you talked about. Oh, I forgot to mention JO1, who just did KCON LA, was one of the Korean artists on here. Do you know these songs, Brian? Savage, Wannabe, Ice Ice Baby.
Yes.
Lady Marmalade.
Yes.
Can't Get You Out of My Head.
Yes.
Motown Philly.
Yes, back again.
Waterfalls.
Yes.
All right, then you're gonna enjoy the music. So that's kind of the key right there.
Well, and I think that is, I like the idea. I've mentioned this at some point. I've been focused a lot lately. I've been focused a lot on whether or not the observer, the consumer, has a puzzle to crack or a world to be revealed at all time. Because absent that, I'm convinced that they go about the more interesting puzzle of where is this headed, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact that there's an obscure world of K-pop that I'll be introduced to, as long as a familiar set of tunes are there, I think that's part of the reason I really dug the Girl Talk mashup album, is because all of the hardcore rap world that was obscure to me was offset by the very familiar classic rock stuff, which made it a delight of a puzzle of every 30 seconds something new.
Yeah, and on the other side of it, these are all artists that Koreans will be familiar with, right? So the Seoul audience will be like, oh, cool, we get to see Kylie Minogue. We get to see Patti LaBelle. That's amazing. Like, we wouldn't get to see those artists. They wouldn't come visit here otherwise. Also, it's Apple TV Plus, right? Which, it's not like everything they do is a hit, but they definitely have a higher standard for what they accept. So curious about that as well. The first 26 seasons of South Park are going off of HBO Max next week. This is after the agreement between Trey Parker and Matt Stone with Paramount Global that gives exclusive streaming rights to all South Park episodes to Paramount Plus.
Yep.
Public service announcement, basically. Like, if you're watching them on Max, they're going to Paramount Plus next week.
I mean, to be honest, it's a important service that we're giving, because with all of the news headlines being made about the latest, premiere of South Park, the first thing on everyone's mind is, where is it again? And for years, South Park Studios, because they owned all their stuff, you could always see all of the episodes at southparkstudios.com. They were able to negotiate incredibly creator-friendly deals that, again, you could smell some of that frustration with the whole Sermon on the apostrophe Mount episode that we just saw. But yes, I guess that's what it means to sell a thing, is that you no longer have it anymore. They used to have the right to hold on to do stuff whatever they want, and now they got paid a lot of money, and so now we have to go find it.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's where you would expect it to be if you're like, oh, all the stuff that is on the network that show airs on is on here. I guess that's where I would look for it, versus HBO Max, where you're like, it's not on HBO. Why would I look for it over there? That's all I got to say about that.
Tom, you're over here just dangling fresh meat, like trying to get me to jump in and say, oh, is it almost like they took some very un-HBO-like programming, stapled it onto HBO, and had brand confusion? Who could have seen that coming?
I just called it Max for short, by the way, and I didn't do it on purpose.
Don't get me started.
All right, let me distract you with this. Netflix has secured the rights to adapt the TV series T.J. Hooker into a movie.
Yeah, this almost certainly has to be announced specifically at this time on the heels of the surprisingly high Gen X success of the new Naked Gun movie, right?
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. They're like, oh, Naked Gun? Even though it's not taking a TV series, it's like, oh, we could do something with TJ Hooker like that, and people would like it. We've done funny versions of Starsky and Hutch in the past, funny versions of the Dukes of Hazzard, 21 Jump Street. So yeah, it looks like that's what Netflix wants to do there. All right.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to play with. And of course, it's going to be tough. Man, that's the thing about a striking figure like William Shatner, a larger than life caricature of I don't know. He exists in multitudes, but yeah, it's going to be tough for us to get William Shatner out of our head watching this.
I loved that the Deadline article about this was like, no word on whether 95-year-old William Shatner will make a cameo. Like, that's a legitimate thing they had to write into the story. Like, people are going to want to know that.
So, okay, separate thread, peripherally connected. We talked about how Spaceballs 2 was announced and that there would be appearances from Mel Brooks, but we questioned how he would be appearing and given his age and so on. What would you think if the TJ Hooker movie just never apologized for it and instead just AI'd young William Shatner, and it just said William Shatner as TJ Hooker, and they just did it, and it was just straight up like, yeah, come at us. What are you going to do? It's William Shatner. I'm sorry, did we throw a William Shatner filter on William Shatner? Come on.
I would dismiss it out of hand if it weren't Netflix.
Who has already broken that seal.
Who's already like chiseling away of like, you want some AI? We'll give you some more AI. Yeah.
And this could be, in my hypothetical universe, like existing as kind of an inoculation about using AI for other stuff. It's like just lean in so heavy as the bit. I don't know. There might be something there.
All right, let's move on to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
Buried Treasure is the segment of the show where we talk about something we've been watching lately that we think might be worth you watching soon. Brian, what do you got?
An unusual story. I watched a trailer, a single 3-minute trailer, but there's enough here that I want to share this and see if anybody else resonates with this. First of all, do you remember the movie Heart Beeps?
No.
Okay, so I knew it as the story that I wanted to convey. I did a Modern Rogue interview with Ernie Klein with all his DeLoreans in the background. It was great. And I mentioned a curious moment. 1981, this movie comes out, and it's about 2 robots that escape from a factory with, and then they go out and they come back. And one of the characters is named Catskill. It's an old grizzled Catskill vaudeville comedian robot who's sitting on a box always. And about 2/3 of the way through the movie, when they're at the lowest moment, he runs out of batteries, or they reveal he's about to die because he's been running low on batteries.
It's an Andy Kaufman movie. Damn.
Okay, you're jumping. You stole my bit because because I remember as a kid, then one robot says, "Oh, he's been trying to save battery by telling such bad jokes. I remember thinking, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's not possible. How on earth could the quality of the jokes have anything to do with power consumption? Smash cut to today, Tom. That's literally how LLMs work. You save battery power by telling less thoughtful jokes with your large language models. So that's all I wanted to express to Ernie. And Ernie said, yeah, that movie had Andy Kaufman in it. And I said, what? And so I Google it, much like you did. And I said, Andy Kaufman, but that's not the part that I wanted to express. The part that amazed me, and I bet you saw it as well. What raised your eyebrow on that movie?
Bernadette Peters?
Nope. The fact that it was nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, crazy. Yeah.
Oscar nominated for the makeup work of Stan Winston.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was one of those gimme ones that the actual reviews are, I couldn't bring myself to watch the entire feature because I had to have to rent it for $5 or whatever. So instead I watched the 3-minute theatrical teaser, which is all the character Catskill pitching theater owners on, like, look at this leggy lady. She's going to pull people in for sure. It's got this, it's got that. I just realized I dropped my mic. There you go.
You loved it so much, you had a mic drop moment.
I did. I have to fix the adhesive on these mics. Anyway, that's my tip, is just watch the 3-minute trailer for Andy Kaufman's Oscar-nominated 4.5 IMDb reviewed Heartbeeps.
Some people think it's bad when you say, oh, I saw the whole movie in the trailer. Brian's recommending it.
Just watch it. Yeah, that way.
I challenge you, Brian, and I know you've got a busy week coming up. I challenge you to watch the first 5 minutes of the most recent episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Okay. Sorry, I'm fixing my mic. You'll have to keep talking.
Sorry.
Explain to me why.
Of course, I pick this time to not do the normal thing and just talk about my pick.
That's all right.
Engage you with it. Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I want you to watch the first 5 minutes because it is a Jonathan Frakes directed episode. Jonathan Frakes famously played Commander Riker on Star Trek The Next Generation, but it opens on a 1960s era spaceship set. The actor who plays Kirk in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Lieutenant Kirk at this point in the history, is playing a starship captain. And you are hearing the sound effects that are actually used on Strange New Worlds often, but they are unprocessed sound effects. Then smash cut to the opening credits of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but for a show called The Last Frontier. Then you're trying to figure out, why did I see that? And it goes into the rest of the episode. And the rest of the episode is the origins of the holodeck.
Okay,
and why the holodeck
wondering...
wasn't used until later with Star Trek Next Generation era.
Oh, man. So I know you had advised me to watch all of them in order, but it also sounds like you'd rather have your bro Brian to come.
You don't have to do that for this one. Because really it's a standalone episode. It's a bottle episode. There's a couple of hooks to things that were previous, but you can watch the previously on and be like, oh, okay, I get what's going on with Spock and that girl. And then the rest of it is just the holodeck being tested, and you find out why they shelved it, and we're like, we need to work on that. And there's even a nod to
explored in Lower Decks quite well.
Well, Lower Decks was in the era where the holodeck worked. Star Trek Strange New Worlds is like, this is the prototype, and they want us to test it out. But just for the opening scene alone, it is 100% worth it. And they shot it in Toronto. Jonathan Frakes said that, they were basically allowed to do whatever they want. And the guy who plays Kirk was encouraged by Frakes to push the line on imitating William Shatner and his acting style when they were doing the space versions. The overall plot is a murder mystery, and you get to see all the characters. This won't play as much for you because you haven't watched the show, but if you watch Strange New Worlds, all of the actors are playing other characters. So you get to see their range. You get to see their acting chops. And the character that Anson Mount, who plays Captain Pike in Strange New Worlds, plays on the holodeck is a writer of The Last Frontier. And basically they said, do Gene Roddenberry. Like, study Gene Roddenberry and then do a version of Gene Roddenberry. And so Gene Roddenberry is actually a character in the story.
Holy moly. Okay. All right. It sounds like there's layers of meta, and it also has one of my favorite bits, which is actors portraying characters who are acting like other characters.
Yeah. It's pretty fascinating. And there have been episodes of other Star Treks over the years where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a rewatch. This is a must watch. Deep Space Nine, when they time traveled back to the original series, and they intercut with the technology of the 90s, by the way, intercut
And
themselves
clips.
into trouble with tribbles, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a great one. And this kind of it hangs right up there with that in its innovativeness and attractiveness to people who love the Star Trek lore. I think folks are going to love it.
All right, I'm in.
If you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian, I'm number 99.
Not in my heart. You're number 3 or 4.
I am number 99 on the top 100 Substack tech Substacks.
Really?
Mhm.
Where can I see this with my own eye faces?
You go to freetechnewsletter.com. That'll get you one episode a week of the Daily Tech News Show ad-free on Substack. And if you kick a little money, you can get them all ad-free on Substack, including my write-ups and all of that.
Dude, that's fantastic. Well, and so, wait a minute. Can we cause you to be higher than 99?
That's why I said I'm 99, because I really would like to be a little higher than 99. Don't you think I should be higher than 99, Brian?
Yeah, no. I mean, look, sure. Everybody lies and say it's an honor just to be nominated, but come
Sure.
on, man. How hard could it be for you to
It's
be the
even
number one
more
tech pod-
honorable to be nominated more.
Right?
It's the most honor to win.
Let's
So
honor you all the way to the top.
please honor me, if you will. freetechnewsletter.com. Let's move on to Scan the Horizon.
Send a scanning to abort.
Scanning the horizon!
Fox's streaming service will be called Fox One, and we now have a launch date and a price. August 21st for $19.99 a month. That will include content from the Fox network, including your local Fox TV station, Fox News, Fox Business Network, FS1 and FS2, which are the two big sports channels, Fox Weather, Fox Deportes, which is Spanish language sports, and the Big Ten Network. Fox says it has no plans to make originals. This is just going to aggregate all the content from Fox. You will also be able to bundle it with the existing Fox Nation service, which is more of a Fox News fan service. That bundle will cost you $25 a month, so that knocks $2 off the combined cost of those two services. This is more expensive than I would have expected.
By a lot, which suggests to me that maybe there's going to be like some specially windowed sports event that you're going to be frustrated and sign up for. And you're like, well, it's only $20. I'm sure I'll remember to unsubscribe. Spoiler, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you have some must-watch Fox thing, but you're visiting your in-laws in the woods. I'm really having to do
Yeah.
backflips to justify this.
I mean, I guess if you like sports, I can see that being a thing where you're like, oh, I want to watch the World Series. The World Series is on Fox. I can stream it on this. Racing, they do great racing coverage on FS1 and FS2. And then you're also like to watch Fox News, or maybe you like to watch Fox Business Network and you want to cancel cable. Maybe this is we don't think you have any other option, so we're going to charge you $20. I mean, people are complaining about ESPN being $30, and it's got more sports than Fox One will have. Quite a bit, I think. FS1 and FS2 are no slouch, but still, I would have guessed $12 tops.
I do have a thought. It's that this is an infrastructure launch play They just need it to work and be out there. And yes, eventually they'll get around to quote unquote doing something with it. By which I mean coming up with originals, or they'll eventually have something good behind that paywall, which means all things being equal, let the audiences get the wiggles out talking about how stupidly expensive this is for Fox now. Let them get tired of the anchor of $20 now, because spoiler alert, inflation ain't going away. $20 3 years from now is going to seem less outrageous than it does today.
Yeah.
And it'll seem even less outrageous when, for example, a few select Fox movies. You remember how movies in their release distribution.
Well, there's no movies in this.
Well, but there could be, is my point. Like the VOD level of movie, as movies go from theatrical to the VOD market, eventually
Disney,
streaming.
and I'm not, I know you're not confusing this, but just for people watching, Disney owns the Fox studios. So Fox, the company, would have to go out and buy and license movies. They don't make any.
Yes, but I believe they could and might. I mean, instead of specifically movies, just substitute Brian saying a thing. There can be a thing that traditionally has fit. And when I think of movies, like there would be special windowed presentations of things before it would hit the anything goes of cableness or USA Networks or whatever. Like something that satisfies that level. But we wouldn't be fussing about the $20 price point because we're already over it because of the sticker shock that we're having right now.
Even though they don't have as much sports as ESPN does, they have the big ones. They've got the World Series. They've got NASCAR. They've got the Super Bowl every 3-4 years. And they have a lot of NFL football. So they've got a lot of premier stuff. Maybe that serves some of that purpose that you're talking about, like a subscription drive.
This also could be, all right, let me throw another pitch your way. If they offer a superior UI, no BS experience, like what I think of as the Vimeo model. In the early days of YouTube versus Vimeo, if you had a sizzle reel, you would not put it on YouTube where it could be degraded with ads or optimized for bandwidth restrictions or whatever. Vimeo would allocate much more of their budget. They cost money, but you knew for a fact everybody was going to watch a 1080 or a 4K highest quality version immediately with very little latency. They could be charging a lot so that they could only deliver an exceptional experience, because that might be fertile real estate in the mind, Tom. If I asked you, what's that streaming service that it's just like butter? Every time you load it, it's so fast. And you don't have an answer, which means there's an opportunity there. So maybe that's what they're doing.
Maybe two more thoughts. One, they will never have to lower the price, not for a long time. Or, I'm sorry, I said the opposite of what I meant. They'll never have to raise the price, right? Coming in at $20 means they can avoid, in fact, they could even lower the price. Certainly if they offer an ad-supported version, they could, charge more for that because it'll be cheaper than $20. And two, they avoided saying plus. It's Fox One. Nobody does one. Yeah.
All right.
I kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in response or not, Roku announced their earnings, which include ad sales, content sales, and subscription revenue sharing, grew 18%, while devices, which is probably what you think of when you think of Roku, right? You think of a TV or a set-top box. Device revenue decreased 6%. Roku is an ad company now. We've been talking about that for a long time as they transitioned to that. They make their money off of ads, and they make their money off subscriptions, which is why it's interesting to note that Roku is launching an ad-free subscription streaming service called Howdy, and it costs you $2.99 a month. It will include the Roku originals, like that Weird Al movie, as well as library content from Warner Brothers Discovery, Lionsgate, and others. So for $3 a month, Brian, you're getting the licensed movies and Roku originals.
Yeah, I am not
and
surprised
licensed TV
by
shows
this.
too.
And to be honest, I went through that experience of the family all happened to be there at the same time, and they were all vaguely interested in this Weird Al movie. And come hell or high water, my credit card was out. Do the thing that causes the ad-free version to be on the screen now, right now. And for all I know, I could have subscribed to this 2 years ago and never have noticed.
Yeah, this is brand new. And I think the big advantage is so many people use Roku devices. They're going to see this at the top of their screen and go, $3? Well, I might as well try it. Like nothing is $3 a month on streaming anymore. And they're going to sign up a bunch of people.
Yep. I think so too.
The brilliance of owning the platform. From August 1st through September 29th, HBO Max in the United States will feature a sample of 15 BritBox series at no additional cost to HBO Max subscribers. They're not adding them to the catalog. It's a temporary guest feature. The goal for BritBox is to get HBO Max customers interested enough to sign up for BritBox, which costs you $9 a month or $90 a year. HBO Max has done this sort of thing before. It offered a sample of AMC Plus titles, and it just makes their current subscribers happy because they get some stuff they wouldn't normally be able to see.
Yeah, I don't have strong opinions of BritBox. I normally call up my friend, hold on, beep, bop, boop, Tom Merritt. How do you feel about
G'day,
BritBox?
Brian. Oh, wait, that's Australian. Sorry. Well, to me, it's less about BritBox. All you need to know about BritBox to understand this story is there are people who like shows on BritBox. It's a niche. It won't get as many people on its own as a broader service like HBO Max. But if you put it in front of HBO Max's big audience, more people will discover that it exists.
Yeah.
Peacock narrowed losses on the year and the 3 months with the streamer at 41 million subscribers at the end of June. That's up nothing from Q1. Peacock just maintained 41 million subscribers.
Yeah, I wonder how long. I guess I don't know. Peacock, what are you sitting on it? Are you getting off of it? What's the story here?
They're nurturing an egg called the NBA that will hatch in the fall.
Okay. All right. Yep. Your Honor, I withdraw my questions.
And then the Olympics. Then the Olympics is always a big driver.
Yeah, that's
for them
right.
as well.
That's right.
Yeah. Chartered Communications stockholders approved the proposed acquisition of Cox Communications. The deal announced in May is expected to close mid-next year pending regulatory approval. That's just a little bit public service announcement that if you're in the U.S. and you're on one of those two services, they're merging. As basically we're going to end up with Charter and Comcast being the two cable companies in the United States. And YouTube has become the UK's second most watched media service, behind only the BBC, according to Ofcom's annual report.
To be honest, I'm a little bit surprised that the BBC was holding on still. That's the real headline to me.
Yeah, that's the power of the Beeb, right? It is in everyone's home in the UK. All right, let's move on to the chatter. We got mail from Eric in Carrollton, Virginia, who writes, I'm currently visiting Honolulu for work. A few hours ago, while sitting in the hotel lobby, everyone's phones began blaring as a tsunami watch was issued. It happened again a little later when it was upgraded to a warning. It was like something from a disaster film. Standard limited info was provided. My coworkers and I grabbed some supplies from the ABC store and headed upstairs to our rooms. I turned on the local news and confirmed what you all have discussed many times. The best coverage of these sorts of events continues to be live local news. They're showing maps, current conditions, live footage, government press events, everything. I don't have to know the best URL, local resource, or where to find the best info. It's all presented to me. I searched for a map of inundation zones after learning that term from the news. However, that page of Hawaii.gov was down, presumably from everyone hitting it at once. The wave's expected to arrive in a little under 2 hours. I know based on what I'm learning on the news that I'll probably be fine up in this high rise. Thanks for a continually great show, Eric.
Tom, we never got another email from Eric.
Oh no, what's so dark?
No, but I mean,
he said,
the one.
I'll probably be.
Yeah.
No, the only thoughts I have on this are you could have watched that local news on your phone, right? You didn't have to go to the TV for it, but it is always more comfortable to have it on the TV, right? So you can just pace around, look out the window and stuff.
Well, and also, so it's on while you are doing something with your phone.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Think about this,
right.
Tom, just as we just finished that Roku story, what if Roku, and speculation here, what if they were to reach out and get deals with local everyone's so that part of that $3 thing in your Roku, baked into your television, you turn it on, local news was
I mean, you don't
available.
have to. Almost every local news channel in the United States of America has an app on Roku. That is one of the big things is like, if you don't know this, search for your local news. They have an app on Roku. It isn't the channel because they don't have the rights to stream all the network shows, but it is all the news is on there and you can get it. In fact, I watch St. Louis news using a Roku app every once in a while, just because, I want to keep up on what's going where my relatives live. So yeah, it's not about the internet, right? It's about the format in this particular case. Ralph from New Jersey says, I just finished your episode about the Savannah Bananas and had to reach out because it made me laugh. Back in the late 1990s, I was going to the Savannah College of Art and Design, and back then the team was called the Savannah Sand Gnats. They were your typical minor league baseball team, but nothing like the spectacle they are now. It's wild to see how much things have changed after the rebrand. They've turned into a full-blown national sensation.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of their whole origin story. How cool that he got to meet Peter Parker before he was someone else.
We also got an email that says, with your recent discussion of successful spin-offs, here's a reminder that approximately half of CBS's primetime schedule for the last 15 years or so was spun off from a show NBC canceled in its first season. JAG to NCIS. All the different NCIS spinoffs, LA, New Orleans, Hawaii, Sydney, and Origins, to say nothing of the upcoming spinoff that was announced last year, slated for Paramount Plus.
That is the mother of all spinoff observations. I can't think of another one bigger than it. I have the faintest memory of seeing JAG when it premiered. And I am remembering the house that I lived in at the time, which would have made it mid-'80s. Is that right?
JAG? Yeah. Or late 80s anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. That's remarkable.
Then Anthony did us the public service of reminding us that still on the internet, there's a website for everything. How long does it take to binge a show? Go to bingeclock.com. Type in the show. It will tell you how long it takes to watch every episode of a TV show so that you can know where to put it on your calendar. This is fantastic. Thank you, Anthony, for sending that along.
Yeah.
Norm Physicus writes, I watched the first 2 episodes of The New King of the Hill and loved the first one. Just loved it. The second one was good, but that first episode, almost too good to be true. I thought the kids growing up would be weird, but it seemed totally fine. I'm glad Bobby isn't nearly as neurotic as I remember. But back to Fantastic Four. I was worried Brian wasn't going to like it. I really like it, but I can't imagine living in a world where the high five and fist bumping existed 50 to 60 years ago. I'm guessing they were doing the wave at sporting events too. Besides that, bravo.
I did notice that, but the beauty of being an alternate Earth with a retro-futuristic vibe is that you get to break all the rules on that stuff.
You can decide what stuff exists and what doesn't. Well, that is it. Thanks to everyone who emails us. We got some great emails at cordkillers@gmail.com. We read every single one of them, even if we don't have time to read them here. So thank you. Keep them coming. Our website is cordkillers.com. We're live on twitch.tv/nightattack and on the Modern Rogue channel on YouTube, Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.